A very good day to one and all present here, and thank you all for joining us in this ManageEngine's Endpoint Management and Security Solutions webinar. And begin by introducing myself. My name is Nisha Balaji. I'm a product specialist working with ManageEngine for almost 2 years now. I handle the marketing part of almost all the EMS products. And today, for this session, I will be your presenter. Here's a quick overview of the solutions that we offer under Endpoint Management and Security category. Under Management, you have Desktop Central, which is a complete UEM solution, exclusive solution for mobile device management, tools for remote troubleshooting, and deploying your operating system. Under Security, you have solutions for patch management, browser security, identifying and mitigating any threats or vulnerabilities, device control, and application control. To know in detail about any of these products, please visit the URL mentioned on the slide deck. With this note, let me once again welcome you all into today's Desktop Central training. Tuning in for your distributed workforce. As you're all aware of, this is a 6-week training program. Currently, we are in week 3, where today we'll see in detail on how you can deploy and manage your applications. In the last 2 weeks, you would have seen in detail about patch management and all the security add-ons available. In the upcoming weeks, you'll see in detail about IT asset management, remote troubleshooting, and onboarding your applications. In case you've missed any of the training sessions or you want to revisit the webinar videos to see the scenarios and questions discussed, you will find the recorded video of this session sent to your registered email ID. You can also visit the below mentioned URL to know in detail about the upcoming training sessions. Not to forget, the participants of this training session will be entitled to receive a certificate for participating in this training session. This certificate will be provided at the end of this training series. So with this note, let us proceed into today's session, which is software management and software deployment. Here's a quick overview on the agenda that we have planned for this session. First and foremost, you'll have a quick overview on what exactly is Desktop Central and the architecture details. We'll also see how you can manage your distributed workforce in the current scenario. We'll also see how you can get a detailed report of all the business applications present in every endpoint and how you can deploy or upgrade your business applications, either by creating a specific package or by using predefined templates which are available in Desktop Central. We'll also see how you can make use of the self-service portal and ensure that your end user can update or install applications all by themselves. We'll touch base on the product architecture and move on and discuss few commonly arise scenarios and questions that we have received from our support end. During this session, in case you have any other questions or queries, feel free to reach us on the chat box. We have an expert panel members connected here who can answer any of your queries. So to begin, let us see what exactly is Desktop Central all about. Desktop Central is an endpoint management solution that enables you to manage all forms of endpoints in your enterprise from a single centralized location. Desktop Central also offers a UEM edition whose capabilities cover the entire endpoint management and security spectrum. So, what exactly is UEM? Unified Endpoint Management is an evolution and combination of enterprise mobility management, mobile device management, and client management. UEM considers different devices and platforms to bring cross platform security and management to your IT departments, thus, enhancing the scope of device administration and data security. So, we've seen what exactly is UEM. Now, let us also understand why is there a requirement for UEM. Today's organizations are now dealing with heterogeneous devices for their employees who are mostly on the go or working from home. So, with more diverse mix of devices entering the workplace, IT administrators have a hard time managing different device types and operating systems. So, then came up with a solution which offered a unified approach to managing all types of endpoints, applications, and content used in a business ecosystem. Traditional endpoint management solutions have certain difficulties which are eliminated by Desktop Central's umbrella approach, combining traditional management and modern management. Now, when we say modern management, there is one popular operating system which comes into everyone's mind, and that is Windows 10. So, with a unified endpoint management solution in place, you can perform your regular desktop management activities, be it your asset management or your endpoint configurations deployment. Along with it, you can perform your remote troubleshooting capabilities, deploy operating systems by imaging, control the devices connected, have an overview of the applications, blacklist malicious applications if required, implement security measures for your browsers, and have exclusive support for your mobile devices. All of this can be performed from a single unified console. So, when we say endpoints, what exactly are the endpoints that you can manage with Desktop Central? You can manage your everyday desktops, laptops, mobile devices, and tablets, both corporate owned and your BYOD devices, servers, point of sale devices, and even browsers. Here's a quick overview on the awards recognitions for Desktop Central based on the trust that our customers have on our product. As you can see, ManageEngine is recognized as a major player in IDC MarketScape and also as a leader in IDC MarketScape for worldwide unified endpoint management software. Now, moving on to the product, here are a few essential and additional components required for the product's functioning. You have three essential components for Desktop Central. Being primarily a client server model, you need to have the Desktop Central server set up in one of the server machines in your head office. All the devices and endpoints that needs to be managed by Desktop Central needs to have the agent installed in them. You also have a notification server which aids in performing any on-demand task. You have other additional or optional components like distribution server, secure gateway server, failover server, and multi-language packs. We'll discuss the usage of these in detail when we have an overview on the architecture. Desktop Central supports all the three major operating system flavors available: Windows, Mac, and Linux. Here's a detailed overview on the supported operating systems. Now, as I said before, Desktop Central's agents need to be installed in every endpoint that needs to be managed by Desktop Central. So here are three common methods for agent installation. The first one is to deploy the agents using a group policy in an Active Directory based setup. The other more simpler method is to automate the agent installation directly from the product console. You can also choose to install the agents manually by downloading the exe available. You also have a few other methods for agent installation. To know in detail about them, please reach our support or you can reach out to us in the chat panel. Now, let us take a look at the challenges that one might face when it comes to deploying applications, especially now given a remote work scenario. First and foremost, IT administrators need to make business applications available to all the users and to install them at their own convenience. You also need to take measures to ensure that malicious applications are restricted in your end users' devices. This entire process of applications deployment has to be simplified to avoid a lot of help desk requests. So, this is where Desktop Central comes in. With Desktop Central software deployment, the architecture and workflow is quite simple. In Desktop Central's primary central server, you have the software repositories available. We have two types of repositories: network share and HTTP repository. For your local area network, the application packages are stored in your network share repository. To deploy applications to your wide area network or any devices which are on the go, you'll store the package in your HTTP repository, and this can be accessed by any of your agents. To configure the path of your repositories, let me quickly take you to the product console. Here, under Software Deployment tab, under Settings, you have Software Repository. By default, when you install the product in your machine, a default shared folder will be created for your network share and your HTTP repository. In case you wish to use an existing shared folder, choose this option and provide the path of your existing folder. Similarly, you can reconfigure your HTTP repository as well. Now, here's a quick difference as to why we have two types of repositories. As I said before, your network share repository can be used only by your local area agents, your LAN agents, whereas your HTTP repository can be accessed by all your LAN, WAN, and roaming users. When you have a package in your network share repository, there is no limit for the file size maintained. But in HTTP, you have a limitation where you can store up to 7 GB per package. In case you wish to store a package greater than the file size mentioned, please contact our support for further assistance. Network share repository here requires a proper setup and frequent maintenance, whereas no such maintenance is required for HTTP repository. So, with the basics covered, are you all now ready to manage your distributed workforce? Let us take an example of John and his IT team who are responsible for managing their entire distributed workforce. So they have a head office in Dallas and multiple remote offices present across London, Chennai, and Sydney. So let us see how John and his team can manage all the endpoints present in the remote offices using Desktop Central. Now, primarily, when it comes to managing your remote office devices, and now given the remote work scenario, everyone are tasked with three types of users. First is your regular user who is mostly on the go with a proper VPN configured. Next are these general users who are predominantly used to being working from the office premises and now with the remote work scenario have been provided with the VPN. You also have a third type of users who can access all applications which are cloud based without any VPN. So now, as we have in every organization, John and his IT team will be managing all these three types of users with Desktop Central. Now, generally, when you have a remote work scenario enabled, there are few steps that needs to be taken and measures that need to be implemented. While enabling a work from home setup, you need to ensure that proper internet bandwidth is available and your VPN access is provided to all your end users to access your corporate data and files. Most applications should be hosted on cloud to simplify this process. While managing and securing your devices, you need to ensure that proper onboarding is required for your new devices and more limitations has to be eliminated to enable your BYOD devices. For security purposes, you need to be on a constant lookout for any vulnerabilities, regularly patch and update all the applications present in your endpoints, and implement strict measures to secure your browsers and the data present in any of your endpoints. This is the workflow for your network access control. Now, this comes in handy when you have your devices which are back to office. So, when your devices are away for a very long time from your corporate network, when they come back, you can ensure that every machine is in compliant with the security policies that are implemented. So, when you have a network access control routine implemented for non compliant machines, applications which have outdated versions, applications which are not restricted in your networks, all of these can be eliminated in this process. Now, let us take a scenario where John and his IT team needs to get a report of all the non-compliant business applications, say devices which do not have applications like Microsoft Teams and Office 365. Let us see how easily they can generate this report. Let us move on to the product console. Here, under the Reports tab, you can go to Custom Reports and create your own custom report. Provide a name for your report. Let me say work from home software. Select the submodule as software and choose your criteria. Now here, I'm going to generate a report for all those machines which do not have Microsoft Teams and Office 365. Select the columns that you want to be displayed, the computer name, the domain details, license details, and the OS versions. Save and run the report. you will have the complete report generated with all the devices which do not have these applications. You can easily export this report either as a PDF, CSV, or an XLX file. So, with one simple click, you can generate reports as per your requirement. The next step that John and his team needs to do is deploying Microsoft Teams to these devices or computers which do not have this application present. Now let us see how your applications can be deployed in Desktop Central. Moving on to the product, click on Software Deployment tab. Here, click on Templates. Desktop Central offers over 8,000 predefined templates. So every template will contain details of the application, the version, type of the file present, platform that it supports, and the location of the exe file, along with your installation and uninstallation silent switches. So it is always recommended that you first search for an application if it is available in the templates and then directly create a package. In case you wish to add your application as a template, click on this and provide details. So first, let me check if Microsoft Teams is available as a template. So I have Teams available here. Click on the package and click on Create Package. Once your package is ready, under Packages section, the particular application package will be listed. So here's my package. My next step is to select this package, choose Install and Uninstall Software, and deploy this either as a user configuration or computer configuration. Now, in my case, I'm going to deploy this as a computer configuration. Provide a name for your configuration. Choose your operation type. You can install multiple packages in a single configuration if required. You also have an option to either install this application either as a default system user or the user which is currently logged on. Then you have something called scheduler settings. You can choose to add a particular date and time after which this particular installation will happen. Say, for example, I want this application to be installed 2 days from now. I can choose the particular date and time. Similarly, you can provide a specific time after which this application or this particular configuration will not be deployed. Say, for example, I have an expiry date and time set. I can provide the date a week later from now, after which this configuration will not be deployed to any of my target devices. Then you have something called deployment settings, where you can enable any of the predefined deployment policy that are available or create your own deployment policy. Let me quickly show how you can create your own deployment policy. Click on Create Policy. Deployment policies are common for both patch deployment and software deployment. So initially, provide a name for your deployment policy. Choose your regular split. If it's based on Patch Tuesday, the deployment will happen based on the second Tuesday of every month. Since we are deploying applications, let us choose regular split. Choose your preferred weeks and days for deployment. Say I'm choosing the second and third week and I have the days that I want. Choose your deployment window. The configuration will be deployed only during this deployment window. You can add multiple schedules as per your preference. Next, you can choose to initiate deployment either during the system startup or during the 90-minute refresh cycle or whichever happens earlier. Say I want it to happen from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. You have something called pre-deployment settings. Here, you can choose to automatically wake computers before deployment or also download your software binaries during the subsequent refresh cycle. Now, if you choose this option, during the subsequent refresh cycle, the application details will be deployed to your end user's device and all the package details will be downloaded. But the installation process will happen only during the preferred deployment window. You can also choose to enable user notifications where your end users will be notified about the installation process and also modify the reboot policy if required. So once you've completely customized, click on Save. Now here I'm going to choose one of my default deployment policy. Next is defining your target devices. So for those devices for which you're going to deploy these applications, you can choose to deploy based on the remote offices. Now here, since I want this application to be deployed only to those devices which do not have this, I'm going to configure a custom group. Let me quickly show how you can create a custom group. Under global settings, you have custom group option. Click on create new group. Let me choose computer and provide a group name. You have three categories for custom groups: static, static unique, and dynamic. Static is those type of groups where you will have to manually add computers into this group. Static unique is those where devices which are part of one static unique group cannot be a part of another static unique group. Dynamic is where you provide certain conditions and criterias based on which the devices are automatically added to this custom group. Now, in my case, I'm going to choose dynamic group and provide a condition where the devices should not have Microsoft Teams. So once I provide this, I'll click on Save. So this is a custom group that I've created. So here, select all your remote offices and filter it based on the custom group that you have created. Your custom groups will be available here. You can also exclude your computers based on the IP address or the IP range or your operating systems. Finally, you have execution settings. In case you want this configuration to be constantly deployed to the computers repeatedly, you can choose this option where this will be deployed either during every startup or during the 90-minute refresh cycle. You can also try to apply this configuration again on failed targets. Target devices which may be out of reach or will not have the connectivity for a particular time with the central server. Now, the details of this configuration can be deployed as an email by enabling email notifications. To enable email notifications, you will need to configure your mail server settings, post which you'll provide your email address and choose to click on deploy or deploy immediately. Now, clicking on deploy immediately will trigger an on-demand action where the configuration will not wait for the refresh cycle and immediately initiate the configuration deployment. So click on deploy and this application will be deployed to all your target computers. Hope this process was clear. In case you have any questions regarding this, please feel free to reach out to us on the chat box. Now we've tried to deploy Microsoft Teams using the predefined templates that are available. John and his team also need to deploy a commercial application like Office 365 to their specific group of computers. So let us see how this can be done. Once again, click on Software Deployment tab. Now, as I said before, the recommended process is to check whether this is available under templates. So I'm going to search for Office 365. Since this is a commercial application, you do not have the exact exe available, but you will have a desktop central page explaining the entire process. The very first step is to download the deployment tool. I've already downloaded the deployment tool. Next, you will extract the contents of the exe file. Very simple process is to copy this command, go to your command prompt, and replace the file path. Once this is done, you'll extract the complete folder. Here, you will have configuration.xml file. Replace the contents of the file with this text. So once this is done, you will completely download the package. Once again, select this command, go to your command prompt and just replace your file path. So once this is done, you will have your configuration.xml and your setup.exe ready for deployment. After this, the process is to simply create a software package in Desktop Central. So let us move on to the product console. Click on Packages tab, go to Add Package and choose Windows Operating System. Select your package name, Office 365. My package type is an exe file, and this is a commercial application. Upload this installable from your local computer. Now, while you're uploading the files here, it is recommended to zip both your XML and your exe, compress it in zip, and upload only the zip file. Upload this, and here you will have to provide your silent installation switch. Once again, in this very document, you will have the details of the installation switch where you'll simply have to replace the path details. Now, post this, you also have additional capabilities in Desktop Central where you can add pre-deployment activities and post-deployment activities. Say, for example, you can check for an application, check the free disk space, and others. So once you add this, say for example, I want to check a free disk space, I'll choose my particular drive and ensure at least a minimum of 1000 MB is available. Only if this condition and criteria is satisfied will Desktop Central proceed with the installation process. Similarly, I can check whether the application is already available in the particular device. Say, for example, the application and the version that I'm installing is already available. I can skip the installation process of this particular package. So once you've completely customized, you can also add uninstallation strings if necessary. Once you customize it according to your needs, click on Add Package. Your package again will be available here. The process again is quite simple. Click on the package and deploy it as a computer configuration. As we saw before, provide your appropriate name for your configuration. Schedule it by providing the appropriate installation time, expiry time, choose your deployment settings, select a deployment policy, and define your targets. Once again, if you want to choose to deploy it only to a certain set of devices, you can create custom groups and filter them accordingly. Now, once you've defined your targets and created your execution settings, you will just have to click on deploy, sit back and relax while this application is being deployed to all your target devices. So this is how you can easily deploy a commercial application like Office 365 to all your specific group of computers. Then we'll see how you can have strict application control to restrict malicious or non-business applications. You would have seen in detail about this with the security add-ons, but let me quickly touch base. Click on Application Control tab, and here select Application Groups. Here you can choose to create a blacklist group, provide name, and add applications which you feel is malicious or a threat to your network. In this way, you can blacklist these applications from entering into your network. Here's another scenario that John is facing while managing his endpoints. John is receiving a lot of help desk tickets to install various business applications. How can this be minimized? This can be minimized or rather eliminated completely by using a special feature that is available in Desktop Central, which is self-service portal. Now, under software deployment, you have self-service portal option where you can choose to publish software packages in this self-service portal. Your end users will automatically be able to select the applications which are available to them and install it directly. In case you have integrated Desktop Central with Service Desk Plus, you will have this option where it requires approval prior to installation. Say, for example, I have few applications and I'll select my target custom groups, add applications which can be directly installed, and few applications, commercial applications, which needs an approval from your IT administrator. So once you've customized this, click on Publish. The applications that are listed here will be available to your target devices. Now for your end users, in their self-service portal window, they'll have the applications listed here. For commercial applications, they'll have an option to request to their IT administrators who can verify and choose to approve or deny this request. Non-commercial applications can be directly installed as per the IT admin's approval. So this particular option for the IT administrators to approve prior to installation is only available when when Desktop Central is integrated with Service Desk Plus. Let us quickly see the workflow of this process. When your end user has the option available in their device, they will send an installation request, which will be forwarded from the Desktop Central server to the Service Desk Plus server. A technician from Service Desk Plus N will verify and choose to approve this particular application installation. This approval will be sent back to Desktop Central server, which will automatically trigger the installation in the client's devices. Now let us check a few common error messages that one might get while creating application packages. System cannot find the path specified, or access denied, or issues related to silent switches. Now, for this problem to be completely eliminated, the process is very simple. While creating a software package, while creating a package, the installation switch that you enter can be directly verified in your own device's command prompt. If this returns without any error, which means there would be no issue in the switch that you have provided in the package. Let us have a quick run through on Desktop Central's product architecture and how it commonly functions. As I said before, Desktop Central is a client server model with the central server installed in one of the server machines in your head office. All the devices which needs to be managed under Desktop Central needs to have the Desktop Central agent installed in them. Now, when you have multiple branch offices or remote offices, now in our case, where John has remote offices across Chennai, Sydney, and Bogota with numerous devices, it is recommended to have this additional component called distribution server, wherein any patch or software repositories or binaries will be directly installed, taken by the distribution server, and this will internally communicate with your devices in your remote offices. This will eliminate your bandwidth consumption. To add additional security to your central server, you can host a secure gateway server in your network. Any remote offices or roaming users will have to communicate through the secure gateway server to reach your central server for any endpoint management instructions. You also have a failover server available, wherein it will completely eliminate any downtime that you might have. If the central server fails to respond for about 2 to 5 minutes to any of the agents, your secondary server or failover server will immediately kick in and starts generating endpoint management instructions. So, with these additional components that are available, you can efficiently manage all your endpoints easily from a single console. Desktop Central is also available for your closed network. In places like defense security, the computers are hosted in DMZ to secure the machines from data breaches and vulnerabilities. So even in closed network without any internet connection, the server can function. Desktop Central is available in Azure and AWS Marketplace, where you can host the server on cloud. We also have our very own cloud model, which is available. To access or try out Desktop Central Cloud, please visit this below mentioned URL. Now, we have seen in many of our scenarios about the refresh policy. Desktop Central has a 90-minute refresh policy, and this is necessary because it eliminates bandwidth choking and also enhances your server performance, which means for each minute you will have you will have devices periodically contacting the central server. Say, for example, you have 90 devices in your network. For every minute, one device will be contacting the central server. Same goes when you have 900 or 9,000 devices, in which case, for each minute, 100 machines will be contacting the central server periodically. Here are the port details used by Desktop Central. The central server uses the HTTP port 8020 and HTTPS port 8383. The notification server, which is used for on demand tasks, uses the TCP port 8027. In the upcoming modules about remote control, we'll cover in detail about voice and video chat, remote control, and file transfer. To know in detail about the ports used by Desktop Central, please visit the below mentioned URL. As we said before, let us discuss some commonly arise scenarios and I'll be providing solutions for the same. Can you reinstall the essential application if it automatically gets uninstalled? Now, this process is again quite simple, as we saw while creating a package configuration. Click on the configuration. Here you have execution settings. Now here you can choose to redeploy this application either during every startup or during the 90-minute refresh cycle. Now to prevent the applications from being deployed repeatedly if the application is already present, while creating your software package, you can set the criteria to verify if the application and the particular version is already available. You have another scenario. Is there a way to base installations of dependency apps? Now, say you have an application that needs a database or any other dependent application which needs to be installed. For that, in the same configuration, you can choose to add multiple packages. Say, for example, you can add a few more packages in the same configuration. You can also choose to reorder the packages in such a way that your first package present listed here will be installed, and after which your application will be installed in your target machines. So in this way, your base dependent app will be installed first. In case you have a third party application that does not support silent installation, how can you install it? Not all third party applications support silent installations, but this again can be eliminated when you have your install or uninstall options. Here, you can choose to allow your end users to interact directly with the installation or uninstallation window. Once you enable this, your end users will automatically be directed to the installation window where they'll have to navigate through simple steps and proceed with the installation process. Here's another scenario that we received in our support. I have a set of applications, including MS Office and CRM, deployed for my sales team. I want all new salespeople to have these applications installed on their computers automatically. How can I do this? Now, this process, not just for applications, but for any deployment configurations that you have set, can automatically be deployed to your new devices. Go to Configurations tab, click on Configuration Settings. Now, here you can choose to apply configurations either during your system startup or user logon or during the refresh cycle. When you check these boxes, the configurations which are applicable to those custom groups or the target devices will automatically be deployed. I tried to deploy a business app to a computer, but it failed. Is there a way to troubleshoot it myself? To troubleshoot this process, you will have to generate the logs generated. So, for this to happen, while you create your software package, say for example, I'm going to create a package for Skype. While you create an application package, under advanced settings, let me select the file name. Let me proceed with one of the predefined package that I've created. So here's a package that I have. Under advanced settings, you have an option to enable logging for troubleshooting. Once you check this option, logs will be generated in every agent machine where this application is installed. So using this, you can move to the agent folder, and under logs, you can find logs present pertaining to this particular application using which you can troubleshoot. When I create a package using templates, what happens if a new version of the application is released? Now, this is a special feature that is available in Desktop Central. You have an option called auto deployment of templates or auto update. Under Software Deployment tab, click on Auto Update Templates. And for the templates that you've created, choose and automatically update the templates as per the latest versions released. Now, software packages that you've created, once you enable this option, the packages will automatically update the templates available. So you'll simply have to redeploy the packages to your target machines. When it comes to your self-service portal, if these packages are available in your self-service portal, the latest template that is present will be available for your end users. Here's another scenario which is quite common. Can we perform Windows 7 to Windows 10 upgrade using software deployment? Yes. Once again, you will simply have to create a software package with Windows 10. As we saw for the commercial application like Office 365, similarly, you will just have to create a software package with Windows 10 and deploy this to your target computers, whom you can classify based on the operating systems and versions present. So, with this simple process, you can upgrade your devices from Windows 7 to Windows 10. We've come to the last segment of this session. Here are some few commonly asked questions that reach us from our support. In case you have any other additional questions, feel free to reach out to us on the chat box. So here's the first question. What if I don't have self-service portal link available on the menu? How can I find it? Under the software deployment tab, you have self-service portal settings. You can choose to display self-service portal either in the agent tray or create a desktop shortcut or make it available in the start menu. How do you monitor the status of deployment? To monitor the status of your application's deployment, under software deployment, once again, click on view configurations. This will provide details of all the configurations, applications which are in progress, which are yet to initiate deployment, and those which have succeeded or failed. If you're using a secure gateway server in the setup, two external clients still need to connect to HTTP portal. Yes, any remote office agents, your roaming users, all of it will still have to connect to your HTTP repository to download the software packages. If I want my software packages to be replicated in a remote office, how do I achieve it? Once again, any application that needs to be deployed to any machines in the remote office needs to be stored in your HTTP repository. When multiple softwares are deployed in a sequence, if the first package fails, does it attempt to continue? Well, no. When you have multiple packages in a sequence, if the first package fails, it does not attempt to continue. But you can enable email notifications and receive instant updates about the process. If you configure a schedule and the computer is not online at the time of schedule, will it be in queue to install when the computer comes online? If the deployment window is still open, the applications or the configurations will be in queue and install when the computer comes online. We have 11 technician licenses on Service Desk Plus, and we have only one technician license on Desktop Central. Is it possible to set the self-service portal with only one technician license? The licensing is quite different on Desktop Central and Service Desk Plus. So with even a single technician license, you can configure and set the self-service portal. We have come to the end of today's session. If you find this session informative and useful, please do rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. The next training schedule is on April 28th, where you will be learning in detail about IT asset management. Do spread a word on social media so that our other customers too might benefit about this Desktop Central training program. You can also review us on Gartner and Capterra about our product and provide us the feedback. In case you would like to schedule a personalized demo or you would like to know in detail about the product and the capabilities or how to set up the product for your distributed workforce, please do post yes on the chat box. We'll have a technician who will personally coordinate with you on your preferred date and time and explain in detail on any of your queries. Thank you all for joining us in this session.